Sometimes Gordon and Henry slept in James's shed, and they would talk of nothing but bootlaces. James would talk about engines who got shut up in tunnels and stuck on hills, but they wouldn't listen and went talking and laughing. "You talk too much, little James," Gordon would say. "A fine, strong engine like me has something to talk about. I'm the only engine strong enough to pull the express. When I'm not there, they need 2 engines. Think of that! I've pulled expresses for years and have never once lost my way. I seem to know the line by instinct," said Gordon proudly. "Every wise engine knows, of course, that the signalman works the points to make engines run on the right lines," but Gordon was so proud that he had forgotten about this. "Wake up, James," said Gordon one morning. "It's nearly time for the express." "What are you doing, Odd Jobs?" "Ah, well, we have to begin somewhere, don't we? Run along and get my coaches. Don't be late now," said Gordon. So James went off to fetch Gordon's coaches. James went along to get Gordon's coaches. They were now all shining with lovely new paint. He was careful not to bump them, and the coaches followed James smoothly into the station, singing happily, "We're going away! We're going away!" "I wish I was with you," said James. "I should love to pull the express and go flying along the line." He left them in the station and went back to the yard. Just as Gordon, with much noise and blowing steam, backed onto the train. The Fat Controller was on the train with other important people, and as soon as they heard the guard's whistle, Gordon started. "Look at me now! Look at me now!" And the goat he puffed, and the coaches glided after him out of the station. "Poop, poop, 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 poop! Goodbye, little James. See you tomorrow." James watched the train disappear round the curve, and then he went back to work. James shunted some trucks into their proper places, and he shunted goods trains into their proper places so big engines could take their goods trains. He also pushed coaches into the station. Just when he was being uncoupled from one of the goods trains he was getting ready, he heard a mournful, quiet shush, 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 shush. It was Gordon, who was trying to slowly puff into the station without being noticed. "Hello, Gordon. Is it tomorrow?" asked James. Gordon didn't answer. He just let off steam feebly. "Did you lose your way, Gordon?" asked James again. "No, it was lost for me," he answered crossly. "I was switched off the main line and had to go on the loop. I had to go all around and back again. Perhaps it was instinct, said James brightly. Meanwhile, all the passengers rushed to the booking office so they could get their money back. We want our money back! We want our money back! They yelled. Everybody was making a noise, but the Fat Controller climbed on a trolley and blew the guard's whistle so loudly that they all stopped to look at him. Then he promised them a new train at once. Gordon can't do it, he said. Will you do it for us, James? Yes, sir. I'll try, said James. So James was coupled on and everyone got in again. Do your best, James, said the Fat Controller. Just then, the guard's whistle blew, and the Fat Controller got into one of the coaches. Come along, James said to the coaches. You're pulling us well, you're pulling us well, you're pulling us well, sang the coaches. Hurry, 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 puffed James. Stations and bridges flashed by. The passengers leaned out the windows and cheered. Finally, they reached the terminal. Everybody said, "Well done," to James. Good job, James, said the Fat Controller. Would you like to pull the express sometimes? Yes, please, said James happily. The next morning, James found Gordon pushing trucks in the yard. I like some quiet work for a change, he said. I'm teaching these trucks a lesson and put them in their usual manners. And he gave his trucks a bump, making them scream. Oh, 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 oh! James and Gordon are now good friends. James sometimes takes the express to give Gordon a rest. Gordon never talks about bootlaces, and they are both quite agreed on the subject of trucks.